Do you want to know how to deal with entitled stepchildren? Well, I'm Nicholeen Peck. I am the creator of Teaching Self-Government, a parenting program that has been going now long over 20 years, and it is a global program. People all over the world are using it, and a lot of people who are dealing with this issue with entitled stepchildren talk to me about what to do about it. So that's what we're going to discuss in this video. It really is difficult when you're trying to blend together different families, different ideas. The children have a history with a different kind of parenting, or maybe even are visiting a parent who does things completely different from you on a regular basis. This can be very hard. Your heart's in the right place, you love them, you want them to know that, but for some reason they keep pushing you away, or they start acting like they demand things from you, as if you, an adult in their life who is taking care of them, has no say and cannot tell them one thing to do. This actually is a problem, not as much because of the children, but because of the dynamic that they're dealing with the parents. So before this step parent comes along, the children are happily being raised, well, maybe not always happily, but being raised in a certain way by two people, mother and father. And these children are used to things a certain way. In fact, they don't have much history in their lives. And so then here comes somebody else who has different ideas, a different background. Maybe they've raised other children a different way, or they were raised a different way than what they're seeing. And so there is automatically this feeling like, you don't get to come into our family and tell us what to do. And I think even step parents feel like, I shouldn't go into somebody else's family and tell them what to do. But then sometimes the step parent is like, but I see so clearly something they could do that would make a big difference. In fact, it would heal relationships. And after all, isn't that what we're hoping for? Is the type of bond, whether stepchildren or natural children, where we feel like we enjoy each other's company, we can help each other along in our paths of life, and that can't happen unless there is a connection there. Also, when the biological parents don't get along with each other, that almost gives children permission to be entitled. They realize really quickly they can play the parents against each other to get the most of what they want. And lots of times the parents play in because they want to have the most time with their children, so they want to be the favorite parent. So that means that everyone then starts focusing on being a friend to the child instead of being a parent to the child. So what happens is the child actually becomes displaced in their own family. They lose their identity as child, and all the parents' roles as parent also get lost. And so everyone ends up in a dysfunctional place. And that's why we start demanding things from each other. The children get entitled, they're demanding from parents and step-parents, and the parents are demanding back from the children occasionally, but not enough that we're going to ruin the friendship. Just so you know, the goal of a parent should not be to be the child's friend or favorite person. In the end, the person who's the most principled, lives according to their values and principles, will be the one who will win out the affection of the child, or at least the respect of the child in the long run. And you want to be that parent. So don't choose to not be a parent in order to try to be the favorite for a short period of time. They need you to be a strong influence in their life, not a person that just gives them whatever they want. Children who get whatever they want are miserable and oftentimes don't even feel loved. You need to recognize that. And as a step parent watching this video, there are certain things that you can do to help those stepchildren also bond more closely to you. So who are you? Self-evident truth number one. You are an adult. Well, if you're the step parent watching this, but you are an adult. What does it mean to be a good adult? Ask yourself that question. Do you realize we live in a day and age where many adults are afraid to act like adults in front of children, especially if those children don't biologically belong to them? But due to your role as a step parent, are you required at all to do things for the children? Do you cook for the children? Do you drive the children places? Do you teach the children things? Do you help them with their homework? Do you correct them occasionally when things go wrong? If you do all of those things, for a child, then you are an adult in their life who has influence. If you choose not to do any correcting when a child has entitlement, then you are not using that influence in a positive way. In fact, you will still influence them. It will just be that the influence will now happen in a negative way. So, how are you going to influence your child? You have to decide ahead of time, I'm an adult. I am their step parent. I am a caretaker of them, which means I have to teach them. Whether I'm their biological parent or not, I have a moral obligation as an adult in society to help the children. That's where you're at, really. It's not about whose child is this. One person doesn't have exclusive rights to a child if they are going to allow other people to take care of them. So you've made the decision, you're going to be a good adult. You're going to have a good influence in their lives. You're not going to play the friend. I mean, sure, you'll be kind and loving and all of that. That's what a parent does. That's what an adult does. But you're going to be a good adult instead, which means you're going to correct them sometimes. This means you'll need boundaries. You need to determine where are your boundaries. So in my family, we have 4 basic skills that help us determine where our boundary lines are. Those 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. So if you have skills in place, such as the skill following instructions, which says you should look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, do the task immediately and then check back. So if I gave a child an instruction and they didn't look at me, then they are not following the boundary. The boundary is they do need to look at me. And if they don't, then I'll need to correct them. So you need to have boundaries. What are your boundaries? Do you have boundaries that lead to increased respect of your parental authority, or at the very least, your adult authority? Because you are an adult in their life that is doing things for them, which means you do have a say in stuff, at least when they're with you. When they're somewhere else, you may not get as much say as their biological parents. But when they're with you, you do have a moral obligation to correct them and make sure that they obey boundaries, which means you've got to decide where yours are. Where are your no answers? What are your instructions? What kind of consequences are you going to have? If you don't know the answers to these questions, I highly recommend going to teachingselfgovernment.com, looking up the Teaching Self-Government Parenting course, finding some of the resources there to learn even more about how you can teach those types of skills and create those boundaries for your family. Also, before I get to my next point, if you like this content, subscribe. I put out these type of videos every single day of the week. And you don't have to watch them all, but when they come by, you'll be able to see if there's something else that you might need or have a question about. When a person is entitled, they feel like they deserve certain treatment. Oftentimes they feel like that they deserve not to be corrected. This is a problem. They may feel like they deserve certain things too, like phones and different types of digital time or time with friends or certain kind of clothing styles that maybe don't match your home standard and your home environment. But don't be fooled by any of that. We need to make sure that we declare the no answers where they are. But then the next thing we have to do is we have to correct the problem. So it's one thing to say that's a no answer, but when they don't care, then what do you do? Because an entitled child oftentimes acts like they don't care. So you have to have a method in place for how to correct the children. Hopefully your spouse has been able to do some of the Teaching Self-Government training with you that I offer, and you can unify on the same way to correct your children. So in the Teaching Self-Government program, we have a 7-step process for correcting children. This process of correcting children is really analytical, it's really calm, it's really logic-based, and it helps the child have no wiggle room or excuses. In fact, it's very consistent. You've got to have that type of a correction. Consistent, it's got to teach cause and effect, hold the child accountable, but not be aggressive, which is important. So I know the step parent, you're always worrying about, are they going to say something about me? Am I going to get in trouble for not treating them the right way? But if you are always calm and you teach them, this is how I will correct you every time, and you do the same words, the same correction every time, and you're just consistent, but you're also consistent with your calmness, there is nothing that they can say. I mean, what are they going to say? They're going to say, well, I swore at my stepmom and she corrected me and told me I earned an extra chore. Ooh, that's not so scary, right? So it's okay. As long as you're calm, all the corrections are probably going to be okay, especially if you teach everyone ahead of time what the cause and effect will be in the home. So you've got to determine that. Be sure to get the help as you need it from teachingselfgovernment.com. If you've enjoyed this video all about entitlement and stepchildren, then I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy the next video I have for you, which is how to develop self-control in a child. Everything we talk about here on the Teaching Self-Government channel is about self-government or self-control. So go and get the basics on self-control so that puts all the other teaching together for you.